Welcome back to the Convo Couch, everyone. I am Pasta Jardula.
And I'm Fiorella.
And Johnny Sue is still spinning on the ones and twos. And Eva and Boom Boom are still going crazy. How about that? So we have a great show for you today, fam.
Yeah, fam. We do.
Listen, let's get people caught up. Before we get into today's stuff, let's get people caught up really quick.
Oh, you want to go there?
I do want to go there.
Ooh, he wants to go there.
Well...
we're going there.
She did a show on
Happy
Saturday.
Monday, by the way. I know you guys don't know what day it is, don't care, but I just want to let you guys know it's Monday. Monday was the day where people had to go to work. They hated Mondays.
We have to go to work on Monday.
I always loved Mondays because Mondays was usually a good show for us.
You had to go to work today. We had to get on up.
We're working every day. That's the thing. We're working more than ever.
Poopy Cakes is here with Frederick Murphy hanging on in, and Karen M., the first one there. Hi, Allison Irwin. So on Saturday, I took the day off. I played a lot of hockey. I made a lot of food. I made a beautiful lentil soup for the ladies. I made some bolognese for me and Johnny Sue. But Fam did a special show. It's a show that's like, the feeling was, you ever have something down below that you can't talk about? That you got it in your stomach, that you want to just say what's on your mind.
Are you talking about like disease, like hernias? Or?
I'm talking about like information.
Okay.
Like you came across some information, you got it inside in your whole
Oh,
you want to speak it so badly.
That was the tip of the iceberg.
You want to scream it out, but you just want to say it. Well, Saturday you got to give a little bit of that oomph out. Why don't you tell the folks what you did on Saturday?
Well, you guys should go watch it. What's the title, Johnny? It's there it is.
It's a changed thumbnail, I see.
Oh, it is. Okay. Well, yeah, I didn't agree with the thumbnail, but we can...
Sanders' campaign primarily run at the top by high-paid establishment political consultants.
So I want to talk about this a little bit because you guys, we never said it was thwarted on purpose because people's experiences varied depending on the location that they were. But we did say that there was a level of incompetence to the point where it seemed like these people had other plans, especially nationally, where the plans weren't to make sure Bernie wins, but the plans were to make sure there's some sort of effect. Now, there's plenty of more to come regarding this subject. And the reason I'm so focused on this is because it's important for us to not be sycophants. It's also important for us to learn from our mistakes as a progressive or whatever you want to call yourself contingent. So we don't do this again. So we don't go and run another candidate in 2024 under the same circumstances that we ran the Bernie Sanders campaign. Grassroots campaigns cannot be run with people from the establishment, from Center for American Progress, and from other establishment organizations at the top who push out the grassroots. And that's what happened. Melissa's story is one story, but there are plenty of people across the country who I have been in communication with who have been dying to talk about their experience. And why is this so important? Why are you so focused, Fiorella? You're dividing people up, or what some people, some critics over there on Twitter are saying. I'm not dividing people up. People are divided as a result of these issues not being addressed, as a result of the grassroots not being in control. And all this tells us is we need to stop looking at politicians to be these celebrities, these saints, because they're not. They're human beings and they're flawed, and they're surrounded by other flawed human beings. And Bernie Sanders is one of these people that kept the wrong people around him to a degree. And I think, there's fault in him for that, but there's also this whole thing that the system is so corrupt that it is almost impossible to win a presidential race. I think it's impossible, to be honest, in a corrupt system, because you can't do that when you have a corrupt electorate. And that's what we always get to here, is that the election issue, if you're not addressing that, then you might as well, you could run the best person you have and you would still lose. I for instance, a lot of people want to run Nina or Tulsi 2024. What does that matter if they're going to run under the Democratic Party, or if they're going to run under a system that's not going to really validate their vote? And what I want to get to is how bad it was and how they didn't address election integrity. And we're going to keep talking more about that. But I mean, I love seeing people's reactions to it. What did you think of it specifically?
Well, it's kind of funny because you're saying a lot of these people, like, what are you doing? You're dividing. And I think those are the same people that when you had this information and you were considering putting it out, you're saying, don't put it out there. It's going to hurt the campaign. But it was really ultimately, And like we said, the election integrity issues have
Yep.
never been addressed. The rigging, the fraud, whatever you want to call it nowadays.
Yep.
There's all different areas, and just to be politically correct. But there were also some major issues within the campaign that also added to the fact. If Bernie Sanders was going to beat the rigging or the fraud or whatever you want to call it, he had to run a near perfect campaign and had to have a near perfect team around him. Unfortunately, he did not. And I'm not just talking about the incompetence, because there's a lot of incompetence too. But it just seemed like there was a lot of institutional players too close to his campaign. And you guys were sitting on this information because you didn't want to hurt him. You really did the right thing. So now the same people who were saying that then are saying that this now.
They were going to say it anyway. They
were
going to say, like, the whole thing was, they're going to hate on us. They're not going to believe us. They're going to say we're ruining. That would have happened times 50 if we had talked about this earlier. And that's the thing. People knew. People who were organizing and stuff, they knew. They just didn't want to say it. And you can see this in multiple comments that if you go on the Twitter thread, or if you go and watch the show, multiple people from different sides say the same thing. We didn't want to hurt Bernie. This is how loyal people have been to Bernie Sanders and his movement. And, and now it's like, well, what the hell? Like, we should have said something, I guess. But again, at the end of the day, things happen. Whatever happened, as they say on Lost. And now we can just deal with it. I know you hate me for it.
Don't start bringing Lost into my
we can deal with it.
There's no talk.
Hey, all my Bernie friends are watching Lost.
Do not,
fam.
I'm so sorry. I do not want to start a conversation about that show down here.
We have to go back.
I'd have to freaking come down here with sage and a priest.
Oh, stop.
No, I'm not stopping. You can talk about it elsewhere, not in my
We're going to have a special episode.
Oh, my God. I
the
can't
CONVO
stand
couch
that show.
Lost.
But, you know what I'm saying? I think sometimes that's what the Bernie Sanders campaign felt like. Everybody was just spinning their heads, going around in circles. And this time out in 2016, where I was a lot more, this time I was a lot closer to Tulsi in our campaign. But I still, like I said, fam, expecting that if Bernie Sanders won the primary, to get in the streets and march for him the general, would want him over Trump every single fucking day of the week. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
However, the campaign seems so differently this time because the grassroots just was not involved. And it's one thing to say, okay, this person's not involved with that person, but some highly touted, like, we talk about Carlos Marroquin and his role and stuff like that. I'm sorry to mention his name, but seeing him on the sideline sometimes was so odd. When he came here, we had Mel and Carlos take Tulsi through Skid Row. I mean, that's the level of, what level this kind of person is on, and the outreach he has towards the Latino community, towards the activists working with the She Does community. It was just so odd to see these people get the stiff arm, fam.
And not just a sniff, but completely targeted and completely pushed out deliberately. And we're going to continue talking more about that. I'm sure Carlos I know he's going to tell his story very soon. A lot of these people have been really kind of keeping this inside, and they wanted to wait for the right moment, and that's their prerogative when that is. So please watch the video. It's really good. It's a little bit long. We're going to make a few more clips of it. There's a couple clips on Twitter, but it's absolutely hearing what Melissa has to say. I didn't at all tell her, I want you to say this, I want you to say that, or anything like that. And I'm going to have more people come in and speak on that stuff as well. So
yeah, I mean, I can't wait. We had the poll workers, stay in the background, stay in the dark and the shadows. They even gave you keys to what's going on. We told you about the whole situation. It's like this, the establishment or institutional players or the people who are going to depend on the paycheck. It seemed like their optics mattered more than anything.
Yeah, the optics mattered more than the action. And that's completely not how you run a grassroots campaign. That may work for PR, but this isn't PR. These are people's lives. This is the future. This was so much writing on this. You like the whole Iowa thing. I haven't even talked about that. How it pretty much was, I was bullied by the entire Sanders Iowa team and the entire national campaign. They were calling other people to get to my information, and I'm going to have my friend Ashley speak on that. Yeah. They bullied other people to get to me, and that to me was completely unacceptable, and it's something I haven't talked about because it was kind of like I was working as an activist, as a volunteer at that point, and so I didn't want to conflate the two, but that's something that needs to be addressed as well.
Yeah, I mean, once we did the poll worker thing, all of a sudden we started seeing emails. I'm sorry, your press credentials have been denied to go up on the rafters or whatever. They wouldn't let you in certain areas. You said they knew who you were in Iowa. It was very easy. They kind of pointed you out, but oh well. And I'd like to also say something to the Twitter people out there. Hi, Dana. To the Twitter people who was like, oh, Fiorella's, she's so Bernie bro-ish and whatnot. bullshit. She's releasing everything right now. She's talking about everything.
I mean, I am a Bernie supporter. I've never denied that. But the fact is, again, I don't think we can be sycophants. I think this isn't even about Bernie Sanders himself as much as like the corruption in his campaign and how. And I still want to get to the point where what exactly is it that drove him to either not know this, and I know. Or not deal with this, because I know he knew some of it. I know he knew some of it, but I don't know exactly how much he knew. I know that he was kept out of things. I know there's so many things that they're left to talk about, like how, a lot of people were kept out of the circle of these things being addressed. And that's something that you don't do, especially when you're running a campaign that is supposed to be about inclusivity, and it's supposed to be like, oh, not me, us. We're all in this together. These grassroots voices, even the voices like Brianna Joy Gray, Nina Turner, David Serrata, those voices that were on point the whole time as to the pulse of the people were completely shut out. And that's something that I think we need to address.
And also, don't get me wrong, I hold him accountable at the end of the day. He makes all the decisions.
Absolutely.
He knew a lot about this stuff.
Absolutely.
So regardless of what happened, but once again, you have to also think about you're the candidate. You have to be in your own zone. You have to think about
you can't.
There's so much you got to do to go out there and talk to people and shake hands and do all. I mean, you can't keep track of what's going on everything underneath you. But that's the problem. You pick those guys, Chuck Roach and Weaver at top, all this shit matriculates. And when you have
such a huge campaign, because I went over there's a document that has like who was where. It was so many people, Pasta, you would be so overwhelmed to just look at how many people are in certain states. And I mean, there was mistakes and blame all around, but this is more about accountability and how we move forward.
Well,
I don't want to focus on blaming, but I mean, I think we all know that there's some fault to everything. Yeah, exactly.
Redneck Economics says you have to do an autopsy on a failed campaign. Otherwise, you'll learn nothing from it or learn why nothing went wrong. And Fiorella's not doing to bash anybody, and I'm not enjoying this to see. Because people think at the end of the day that I wanted Bernie to lose. I didn't. I fucking wanted him to fucking run a serious campaign equivalent to what he ran in 2016, but his whole message, his whole team, and then you just incorporate the rigging, fam. That, like, right now I'm going through some shit. Somebody called me the other day and said we were on the Kim Iverson show and said, you guys were wrong. California has open source fucking software. And I'm like, oh, really? I have to start sending them articles and saying, see, you know what I'm saying? No, they don't. Not at all. But, I mean, that it was one tsunami of shit that hit us.
It was a lot of tsunamis. It was a perfect storm.
It was. Guys, like, share, subscribe. We have 130 people. Some people are saying they haven't seen us coming up on their, what do you call that? Under notifications. Thank you, Johnny.
Welcome to YouTube.
Check out who's on
ROKFIN. What do you got on ROKFIN over there? There is 2 viewers on ROKFIN. Guys, let me refresh the page. If you haven't joined up for our ROKFIN, ROKFIN. Every Wednesday we do an exclusive only on ROKFIN. It's a trivia game show. This Wednesday, Cullen and Jamal Thomas are committed. And then on Thursday, you're going to talk Cullen one-on-one at 2 o'clock about the Tulsi campaign.
Yes, I'm going to talk about the Tulsi campaign. Cullen Tiernan.
I'm sorry.
Cullen was did press for Tulsi Gabbard, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
He also worked for Maria Estrada back in the days. He's an old school friend.
He was a Bernie delegate in 2016,
part
by
of the movement,
way.
The veteran, part of the caucus out over here. He's just a straight up awesome guy.
He is.
He's so smart.
He's a fan.
He is. He's gonna be with Fee at 2 o'clock. Yes. But before that, at noon, I'm gonna be with Jamal Thomas. Did I say it right, Beb? He's got the hat on. We're gonna talk some stuff. You know.
He's just called. Yeah, babe. Okay.
So
also calls everybody babe.
All right. He's my man. We're going to go. His first time I'm going to get a chance to talk to him. He's going to be on the CONVO couch at noon on Thursday. That will be on YouTube as well. But on Wednesday, if you want to see a trivia contest, come on over to ROKFIN, ROKFIN. If you got that security check, that unemployment check, donate $9.99 a month to us.
Fam, people need that money. Stop telling them to donate.
I know we're working with those things, Tony. Thank you for going over to the ROKFIN. All right, so let's get started here because, fam, we do so much bagging on the Democratic establishment
because they suck. They stab you in the back. Yeah. You don't see them coming. You see Republicans coming. But what are the Republicans doing now? Because a lot of Trump supporters were like, okay, well, Trump is, he's anti-establishment. He's not a warmonger. He was going to drain the swamp. Well, guess what? Trump hasn't been draining the swamp. He has been putting the swamp in charge.
Yes. Mnuchin is part of the swamp. We said this a long time ago. And I got a couple articles here I just want to reference and stuff. I'd still probably say gun to my head, I'd still vote for Trump over Biden because once again, and this is really the disgustingness of what we have to deal with. We're given 2 pieces of shit to choose from again. But Donald Trump told the survivors, the families of the killed victims of 9/11, those people who were in the towers, those people who were on the planes, those people who were in the building that never got out, that he would promise them justice. And they would release documents on what happened at 9/11 that they've been hoarding and holding on to. Well, the other day, Attorney General Barr blocks the release of the 9/11 documents despite promises to victims' families. This is the thing we saw when Tulsi Gabbard stood up with them, with the lawyer. They weren't even giving the lawyers access to the information of what's going on. Even the lawyers were not allowed to look at it. And the last-minute court filing, the U.S. officials demanded a federal judge block the release of files detailing Sally connections to the 9/11. So it proves, once again, fam, like Tulsi Gabbard said, Donald Trump is Saudi's biatch.
Absolutely. I mean, and Saudi Arabia and, of course, Israel both have so much control over our military-industrial complex and where all this money goes. So I think it's important that we continue to push that, because Saudi Arabia is one of the main reasons we're in this situation. And I think by now, most people should realize that. Yeah. I mean, the whole 9/11 thing, still having those connections to Saudi Arabia, to me, is just unbelievable.
Yeah. I mean, we saw this. He went over there, he shook hands, and he told people on the campaign trail that he was going to promise them justice. He said it at a meeting. He would get them that information. They would be able to open up the door and finally see what happened, to have some real closure with their families. Johnny, you got to put up that tweet, because the picture of that tweet I put up with Barr. Look at this picture of Barr right here, fam. You're going to love this here. Look at this here. Look at that. Okay.
What is that?
That's Barr right there with a little cap.
Whoa,
now it says the U.S. refuses to release the 9/11 documents, claims the reason for secrecy is secret. In other words, national security. AG Barr blocks the release of 9/11 document despite requests from the victim's family and despite Donald Trump promising them they can have this. What could be expected from President H.W. Bush, CIA's man, recycled by Donald? They keep recycling the same people over and over and over again. It's like Larry Sanders and Geithner. Remember when Obama came into office and he put those guys in charge? You're like, what the fuck? You're just taking Reagan guys now. Yeah. They just keep recycling. It's one big club, fam, and we ain't in it.
Nope.
So, why? Also, and like you said, fam, look at this article from Truth Dick over here right now. All right. So this is it. As coronavirus outbreak intensify, Trump puts big oil interest ahead of American families.
Oh, surprise.
So here's what he did. I'm going to read a little bit of this. We'll go along. It's a couple quick paragraphs. We're going to go right to it. You're going to like this, fam. Climate action groups and progressive critics expressed disappointment and outrage on Friday afternoon after President Donald Trump, despite continued failure to offer far-reaching support to the U.S. public, moved to bolster the bottom lines of oil and gas companies by announcing a massive federal purchase for the nation's strategic petroleum reserve. Based on the price of oil, I have also instructed the Secretary of Energy to purchase at a very good large price and quantities of crude oil for storage in the U.S. Strategic Reserve, Trump announced during a White House press conference, surrounded by CEOs from major corporations, including Walmart, CVS, and Target, in which he also declared an official national emergency in order to combat the outbreak of coronavirus. So, fam, he's going to use our money to buy a bunch of oil for reserves at a high, hefty price. And we said this before because it said when this bailout money comes, it's just a power grab. And it's also going to further back our previous claims when Mnuchin says that energy firms can be bailed out by the Fed as well. So they had a plan, fam. They raided they looted once again, and they got all their rich oil friends to get that money. So once again, up top, they get their money, and down below, we don't.
Yeah, and especially now at a moment where people aren't even getting their stimulus checks. The banks can go after the stimulus checks. The whole unemployment system is as BS. You can't contact anybody here if you have an issue with unemployment. I know James Elia was talking about it's been like 6 weeks and he has nothing from not even a letter. It's ridiculous. It's disgusting. I don't really know how we combat that with Joe Biden. Fracking, some fracking is good. I'm gonna take fracking money. It's just you can't. You're giving people no choice at all. You're pretty much pushing the conditions for a actual like revolution. And I don't know how much longer the people are going to hold out. I mean, this is the time. And I keep saying it because this is really the time. I mean, it doesn't matter whether you have a Bernie Sanders or a Trump or not. This is the pandemic and this is the economic distress. We're going to surge past the depression unemployment rates from the 1920s. We're going to completely surge past that in a matter of months. People are going to be laid off because once you have one sector of the economy failing, the working class, okay, you can't really function that well. But then you add the middle class, the small businesses, which we're going to go into in a minute. You fail them, and that's the majority of the system. Without them, you can't really continue.
It's really disgusting too, fam, because it's not just one side. It's not Donald Trump. I can't open the show today talking about Donald Trump's connections to big oil, his connections to the Saudis. I thought it was really, it went hand in hand. Of course, he's not going to release the documents for the families of 9/11 to see what's up, because it implicates the Saudis and how awful they are. Not only just national security, our relationship to the Saudi Arabian government. It's bad, to the monarchy. It's disgusting. So now he also, because people go, oh, well, wait, Donald Trump is now drilling oil. He's fracking. We don't need Saudi Arabia's oil anymore. We don't even need them. We need them in the global geopolitical battle. We need Saudi Arabia to make sure they can push out China and Russia and that region over there. So, yes, they are part of the plan, and we are in bed with them. So I don't want to hear about this person standing up for that government, this person to that government, when our government itself stands behind the worst of the worst. You're talking barbaric fucking monarchs that fucking behead people in the street, and what they do to women is disgusting. Human rights violators across the board, the biggest, Saudi Arabia. And where do they get their shit from? Us. Good old US of A. And I don't want to leave, like I said, I don't want to put it all on Donald Trump because, fam, it's not just Donald Trump that's screwing us. Our Congress is working together. The way they did this last bill, and let's not forget, fam, they had two bills before this, giving trillions to up top to the big corporations and everybody else. During the CARES Act, the way they did this, fam, it was disgusting. It's like they didn't know what was in the bill. They only talked about the little shit that went out, the little crumbs that they were giving you. Oh, you should be thankful for the crumbs. And the pork. I got a little... The pork. The pork. Pelosi slows up these bills. She wants to put pork in all these bills. She wants to get shit that we really, even as a progressive, that I would like, funding for the arts, it's not the fucking time. Help small businesses out. Why are you stalling? I called my friend in our old business fam. I called 3 restaurant owners. No money. $0. Zip. Nothing. I called our friend Ungi. Nothing. 0. Zip. The fund has run out. You guys are so fucking incompetent and so stupid for letting this happen. Fam, I got a little video of your friend Nance right here. Would you like to see it?
Is it more videos of her fridge? Because I'm so excited to see how she compares to Kim Kardashian's fridge.
Here she is with George Stephanopoulos. We're very close to the agreement to replenish the small business fund. Why do you have to replenish it? Why didn't you put fucking borders and protections in the fucking thing as is, so that chain companies and big companies can't get the fucking money and leave the barber and the dry cleaner out in the streets, you fucking idiot?
Just play it.
Your own Democrats are saying, those other programs are important. We should negotiate those in a new package, but it's important to pass the PPP funding right now by unanimous consent. Why not do that?
Well, I don't know who's saying that, but I will say overwhelmingly, my caucus, and we're working closely with the Senate Democrats, know that we have an opportunity and an urgency to do something for our hospitals, our teachers and firefighters and the rest right now. And then we are preparing for our next bill. But everything we've done, 3 bills in March, were all bipartisan. This interim package will be 2, and the businesses will have the money in a timely fashion. So again, you may find some who may say something, but overwhelmingly the caucus is, let's get as much as we can for those who are helping to fight this fight so that we can soon open our economy.
How close are you to getting that package done? I know you've been talking to Secretary Mnuchin.
Yeah. Yes, we're close. Again, we have common ground. Our CARES 1 package was something that we worked together in a bipartisan way, springing from that and making it more effective and stronger so that more people are benefiting from it and protected by it. I think we're very close to to agreement.
So they're working together to fucking screw you, fam. Bipartisan screwing it over here. And once again, they're taking their time. They're dragging their
from
feet.
both sides.
It's disgusting. Really, to tell you the truth, we have nobody fighting for us in fucking Congress right now. We have zero friends in fucking Washington. And it's all being controlled. Everything from Wall Street, everybody who got their fucking money, Ruth Chris, these hotel chains, they all get their money, fam. But the little guy is left out in the cold. And I want to kind of particularly talk about our old industry, the restaurant industry. Here's a little article right now from the Culture Map of Dallas. Texas restaurants and small businesses get the shaft for COVID-19 loans. Like I said, there was a $350 million package right over here. But the problem is the $350 billion for small businesses. The problem is, fam, they let companies with 500 employees or less join. A company that has over 100 employees, not really a small business, is it, fam?
Yeah.
No.
And it sucks, especially too in California, because California, especially Southern California, Los Angeles in particular, runs on small business restaurants. I mean, people really enjoy going to the mom and pop places. You don't really find a Walmart in LA like that easily at all. Like, you know, people really like going to the coffee shops, the restaurants on West Hollywood, in Hollywood, like wherever, even in Pasadena here, on Colorado. All these restaurants are either closed, they're going to remain closed, or they're going to have a really hard time reopening, and they've pretty much had to lay off all of their employees because they're not getting the help they need. And I am not just okay with small business loans. That's like the minimum, the bare minimum you can do. You should give these people grants. The fact that these people are even given loans that they have to potentially, probably, likely pay back is disgusting to me. If you actually want to keep your economy alive, you need to give grants to these people. It's not enough to give them loans, and they can't even do that. Which is
the level of incompetence, fan. It's ridiculous. And like you said this the other day, somebody agreeing with it. They said 100%. You don't have to disguise these as loans that will be forgiven. Just give them grants. You should have a rent freeze and mortgage freeze and grants for small businesses. All these things, I mean, you could have done this, but the level of incompetence is so ridiculous. And they allowed these loans to start going out with no strings attached. Let the banks decide on who gets it and who's going to get them. People who have their connections.
Exactly. It's these people that have connections. And also, I just want to say, it's incompetence to a certain point. And as I've always said, incompetence is really bad. But you get to a point where you cross that shit line, and then it becomes, is this really is this really incompetence, or is this really intentional? Is it intentional to not care that these small businesses survive because you want to make America a full-on corporation? I mean, we're pretty much there. We've been pretty much on our way there, but this is just accelerating that. You know, you don't want power. You don't want people to have the power. You don't want a free market. You want a fucking oligarchy, and that's what they're showing you here with what they're doing.
Yeah, and I'm at this level too. When people say, "Hey, it was just like they miscalculated and whatnot," I don't give a shit. That's incompetence. Dean Logan makes $231,000 a year. For what he gave us, the results, I could have hired a $40,000 a yogurt store manager to get better results. Literally. Okay, so there comes a point where you say, this isn't fucking incompetence. This is done nefariously.
Yep.
How much money does the fucking Congress make that they can't even come up with a plan? They were working on this for weeks. Nancy Pelosi took it out of the House, threw it over to the Senate to let all the grubby fucking oligarch lackeys, and that's what they are, they're lackeys of the oligarch, get their grubby hands on it and give their friends their kickback, while Americans, everyday workers, are left in the dumps. Just think about that. Fam, here's something else right now. Look at this tweet. Because not only did some of these big restaurant chains get their money and these hotel chains got their money, how about colleges? Here's Carol Roth, okay? A reminder that Harvard, basically a hedge fund misquandering as a university with a north of 40, masquerading as a university with north of $40 billion in assets in their endowment, received $9 million under the CARES Act, while small businesses are being told that funds to help them have run out. Because
we do need more rich people to create more rich people and more oligarchs, fam. That is intentional. You're not going to tell me that's not intentional, that we're not intentionally going to help the richest of the rich. Because why? Because you want them to maintain power. And this is a perfect moment for them to have a power grab, because the people at the bottom and the middle and everybody below the top 1% are in a very vulnerable position.
Yep. Ruth Steakhouse got 10 million, or is it 20 million? I don't know which one it is, but that's the whole thing. Even my friend was defending it. Well, they're doing the right thing with it. Yeah, but what gives them the right to get the fucking money and the small business does not? Okay, I don't care what they did. Once again, you have to have a fair system. And this should have all been in play, fam. All right, we're going to put this amount of billions away for restaurants. We're going to put this billions away for this industry, that industry. We have to have a whole team of see who can apply for these things. You should have never had it up to 500 people. That was just ridiculous. And then the hedge fund managers, like we reported in the last one, hedge fund managers grabbed millions of dollars as well. Fam, here's a list of the other colleges, just by the way. It's a partial reported list of the approximate funds given to the universities from the CARES Act, which ran out of dollars for hashtag small businesses. That's just a buzzword because Columbia got 12.8 million. Cornell got 12.8. Harvard got 9. Yale got 7. LSU got 19 mil. University of Arizona got 35 million. Arizona State got 63.5 million. And it goes on and on.
Damn,
14 billion worth. 14 billion worth taken away from the small business loans. 14 billion for colleges, for Ivy League pricks, where the presidents of their fucking college make over $300,000-$400,000 a year. So no, I mean they make over millions a year. I think at one point, like somebody said, like the head of Columbia got $3 million a year, something like that.
And they're not even returning. Like NYU and those certain colleges aren't even returning. And by the way, those are private universities. They're not even public. They're not even returning the tuition for like actors who can't really. You can't do acting like you can't be taught that like online. So it's just they're not getting their money back, and they're making fun of them for asking for it. I mean, it's just our education system is just a for-profit system. This is why Republicans are attack it, and some of these people are right. Like, why are we gonna put more money into the system? I agree. It needs to be revamped. I want education to be free, so that way they don't have a hold on making it a for-profit system. This is why I am for free college, because I don't want these motherfuckers at the top to continue profiting off of people in debt, indentured servants that the entire millennial and now the Gen Z generation are going to become if we don't stop it.
Yeah. Danny O'Brien, thank you for the super chat contribution. It is always appreciated on the couch. So far, we've identified over 100 wildcat strikes that happened since the beginning of March. Several larger strikes happened in multiple cities. Pop R. Danny, get us the information, the convocouch@gmail.com. Pass it on. We want to hear about these strikes going around because we need one big strike, a general strike, right when they're ready to open up business again, because they want to rush us out there in the middle of this pandemic, because the elites don't want business to stay closed for a while.
Yes.
They don't care about risking our lives. That's when we got to shut shit down. Deep says, how much stimulus did TYT get, by the way? I wonder. Poopy Cake says, I love the Convo Couch. Thank you for the
Thank
super
you,
chat
Poopy
contribution,
Cakes.
Poopy Cakes.
I just wanted to say Poopy Cakes.
I know, it's so great to say. So that was the universities, fam. Okay. We talked about this today. Shake Shack did return some of the money, fam. I'm going to let you talk about this.
No, I mean, Shake Shack was given $10 million as a small business loan, even though they're really not. And they actually returned it. They returned it after there was a massive uproar. But again, there was a massive uproar. There had to be for them to return it. And I get it. Some of these people, this is what's most enraging. They're not even asking for it. A lot of these corporate businesses aren't even asking for the small business loans. They're just being given it. And meanwhile, you have the small businesses who are like, crap, like I've been asking and I'm not getting anything. And now I'm going to have to lay off my employees. They don't even want to lay off their employees. It's not like they want to do this. It's these corporations are still laying people off, and that money isn't even being trickle down, because the money is never trickles down when you have a corporation. The people at the top get their fat checks and the people at the bottom are barely scraping by. So we have to stop this idea that just even giving people these corporations money is going to somehow end up helping everybody else.
What happened? Did you know what happened with Disney? Somebody said something about Disney. I got to take a look at it.
No.
They were telling me about I think Disney got a loan. I don't know. Let me look into it and see what happened. I want to get all the ins and outs. Somebody was mentioning it on the chat the other day, and I didn't look into it. I'm so sorry. And fam, here are some of the other chains that reported got loans. Potbelly, of course, Ruth's Hospitality Group, Taco Cabana, and J. Alexander's. Once again, it's all the big companies that get this money, and the small guys, the mom and pop, so sorry, they get nothing. In fact, I talked to somebody today who we used to work for when me and Fiorella met, and he went out and opened his own small business. 2.5 years some restaurant in Orange County, only to hit the pandemic. And guess what, fam? He didn't get his money either. It's
really sad because these are actual like small business owners and people that employ a lot of other people, and it's really those is affecting the working class, the middle class, and this is where the middle class has to say, holy crap, like we're getting screwed too. Let's stand up and fight back. And this is what I'm starting to see too. One of the restaurants that I follow on Instagram, because I'm big foodie and I really love the small business places here in LA, is El Compadre. And El Compadre posted on their Instagram all of these different chains that got money. And this is important to know, not because of what he's saying only, but because of what it means. So Shake Shack gets 10 million, like Pasta said. Companies that are absolutely not small businesses are getting $10 million. Ruth Chris is right there. And they said on their Instagram that reaches lots and lots of people, these publicly traded businesses received millions, and some of the mom and pops that desperately needed financial aid were left in the cold. This is garbage. Shame on you, Ruth Chris Shake Shack, who then, of course, subsequently returned it. Don't trip. We got this, y'all. Just letting you know who's really behind and who stays afloat and who sinks.
Wow.
This is very important. Now, El Compadre has several locations, one in downtown LA, one in Hollywood, and one in like Echo Park, East LA area. And I've been going there for years, and their food is really good. They also have mariachi bands and stuff. It's Mexican food. And it's important because these people have never, ever been political. To my knowledge, I've been following them a long time. They have never really dealt in politics. This is where politics ends and your life is impacted, because now these people are directly being impacted, these restaurants, and we have the opportunity to jump on that and use that to actually promote these general strikes, these labor strikes, these rent strikes, these small business strikes. Now that these people are being affected is the time to bring these people into the fold and get them to pretty much be ready to fight with us on the front lines. And that's what needs to happen. And I'm so... It sucks, but I'm also happy that all of this is now coming to their attention, because if they were fine and dandy, they would have never really paid attention to, hey, the government is screwing us. They're giving these corporations money. Maybe we should do something about it. And unfortunately, sometimes it takes tragedies to make people realize that they have to stand up and fight
I think
back.
they have to realize right now who the government's working for and who they're not working for. They're screwing you. They're giving you the big F you. These guys, they get what they want. Shake Shack. All these publicly traded companies, and I appreciate them giving back the money, but that just, once again, fam, it's like the tip of the iceberg again, where they give this cash to. They gave it to hotel chains because they were able to individually file as franchise, excuse me, and it be exempt from the fact they are huge businesses. And the fact that people are saying, well, they made a miscalculation. Bullshit. This level of incompetence is ridiculous. And it's not enough to say, oh, let's go vote for the other side because they're so fucking incompetent. We're fucking screwed, ladies and gentlemen. It's up to us. When they're ready to open up this country for business, that's when we got to shut it down. So all those little wild strikes, we got to bring it all together. And like you said, fam, now there's people who are not involved in politics who could see, we saw this shit coming. We saw it from the get-go. We're like, uh-oh, here we go. We've been talking about it for weeks. This is worse than TARP. Everybody, we have no fucking friends in Washington. They all led us astray. We got fucked on it. But now the regular people are going to see it too as well. The curtain from the Wizard of Oz, fam.
Yep.
It's being open.
And it can't be closed back up.
Nope.
That's the thing.
Now we know. That girl, thank you for the super chat contribution. Says, sorry to hear about your friend who passed away, Pasta. Thank you, that girl. That was my Uncle Bobby. I just got some pictures last night. I'm going to put them on up. On a lighter note, happy 420 to everyone. And yes, I'm celebrating. That girl, I'd love to do a Virgil, smoke a... Never mind. I do that with some of my friends, fam. We do it online. We do it face to face. Okay, so here's the last thing, too. Remember what I told you, fam? A couple things. Johnny's got some stuff. You got some stuff. I'm sorry. Not the last thing. But remember when I told you, fam, when I watched that whole House debate on the floor, and I was saying to you, like, these fucking people don't even know what's in this bill. Yeah. I said, they're talking. It's like me when I have a segment when I'm not paying attention and I just start talking shit out my ass and people are like, what the fuck is he talking about? Well, that's what the whole session was. Johnny, don't shake your head yes up and fucking down. Kiss my ass. The Senate Finance Committee, Democrats tried to strike millionaire tax break from coronavirus stimulus, then failed to warn others about it. Fam, they were just hot air was coming out of their mouths. They didn't even know what the fuck was going on, that there was a big millionaire tax break.
That's the thing. I don't think they even knew, because it's about what each these top 1%ers are going to get $1.7 million back. And we kind of mentioned it before, but just so you know, If you don't pay your taxes, they come after you. They're like, "Oh, you made too much money." I got a letter. It was like, "You made too much money. You need to pay. You need to pay more." And I don't make that much money. And these billionaires, they get complete tax cuts. They get to pay zero in taxes, or they get a $1.7 million check from the government.
There you go.
It's insane. I mean, I just can't. I'm so baffled. And these Congress people were like, "Oh yeah, this sucks. This is bad." Grandstanding, and they did not mention it at all. It took journalists and regular people, citizen journalists too, to actually read that and be like, "Wait a minute. These people are getting a $1.7 million check. What the hell? Yeah. We're getting $1,200 and some of us aren't even getting that. Are you serious?"
There was hedge fund managers who got over $1 million. They fucking swooped in and grabbed that shit. They got like 4 guys, and they don't even have to return to work. They could work from their home. Donald Trump put all this money into the market anyways to keep the numbers going up. Somebody asked the other day, how did the market go up in the middle of the coronavirus? Well, we took trillions of our tax dollars, stuffed it in with all these big publicly traded corporations, and they went up. So why the fuck do they need extra money? And just to make it even more nauseous, fam, okay, because your girl Nance, in the middle of a pandemic when everybody doesn't even know how they're going to pay their fucking rent. They don't know how they're going to put food on the table. This one who shows you her designer ice cream in her freezer, who's made millions while in office, she has the balls, the nerve to ask you for money.
Republicans are making it absolutely clear they want to unseat me. I refuse to let them attack our values. Can I count on you to rush in $10 before midnight to help me fight back? Thank you. Republicans are making
she's not even good at this. She really just needs to go.
She's so disgusting.
Go donate those $10 if you have them to Shid Batar, because
it's a Republicans, right?
It's only the Republicans, no, Nancy. This is literally everybody wants to unseat you. Everybody, especially after your stupid fridge thing.
Yeah, the neoconservative Republicans really want to push a Pakistani immigration guy who's for civil liberties.
Yeah,
they want him. They want him to unseat you, fam.
Look at what she said. I refuse to let them attack our values.
Oh, yeah. Our values.
It's always that shit. It's platitudes, bullshit.
Is she clutching her pearls, or am I
She's got pearls to clutch.
She's
got pearls.
This is why I say eat the rich, behead the politicians. Well, not really. But, I mean, it's going to get to that point unless people actually do it. I mean, unless these people do something, because people they're losing everything. And if I recall back in 2008, a lot of people really got depressed, and there was a lot of suicides. There was a lot of people just it happens every depression where people feel like they have no way out, and we're going to start seeing that, unfortunately, if we don't do something. If these Congress people don't do something, if we as a people don't rise up.
What do you all think we should do, guys? Ladies and gentlemen, we got 200 people watching today. What do you think we should do? Let us know. Come on. Tell us. Say, is it general strike time? Is it dead strike? Is it rent strike? Is there somebody else? Do we go Green Party, Libertarian Party? Do we just not vote? Do we participate in the system? What the fuck do we do? Karen M., you're the first one on our chats all the time. You let us know. Lead the way. Fam, you got something else over here, I see, because your friend, she's backing it again. And even the guy, Mehdi Hassan, you got right. You got Biden, Warren, Hassan. What a little Cenk Uygur in there, or some Emma to help us out. Come on.
Here's my whole thing with people like Mehdi Hassan. You're an elitist journalist. It doesn't matter how progressive you call yourself when at the end of the day, class is the issue. You are a part of an elite, and you think that we can just fix everything by putting Elizabeth Warren as Joe Biden's VP. And of course, she is one of the top contenders. Her, Kamala Harris, Stacey Abrams were the top 3 people that were brought up. And of course, it wouldn't surprise me that the establishment is daft enough to think that by putting Elizabeth Warren, everything's going to be A-okay, and that burners are just going to come out and support Biden because they think, oh, somehow this is great. The fact that they're even choosing Elizabeth Warren should be a warning to you that she's not to be trusted, because they would never pick somebody like a Bernie Sanders or a Tulsi Gabbard to run alongside Joe Biden. But the most important point out of all of this to note is that Elizabeth Warren, or anybody being Joe Biden's VP, isn't going to do a goddamn thing, because the system itself is the problem. Now, people have been focusing on Joe Biden's latest ad, which I didn't put the link for, but it was very xenophobic. It was focused on China. And they were like, oh, wow, this is so racist. Yes, it's racist. But beyond that, it just shows you that Joe Biden is going to go and try to have war with China. and try to have war with Iran. We have to go deeper than this is racist, because they want to use your emotions to get you to be like, wow, like, yeah, this is shitty, and let's attack Joe Biden. But Joe Biden is there because they literally put him there. And until we realize that we need to, I'm not saying don't attack Joe Biden. There's so many things we could attack Joe Biden. So many things wrong with him and his ad. But let's remind ourselves that the reason that we're in this situation is because of years of neoliberalism, because our elections aren't fair, because nobody's really talking about that. So yes, while Joe Biden is incompetent, you're not going to solve the problem by putting Elizabeth Warren, even Bernie Sanders on the ticket with him. You're not. It doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, the people, the oligarchs, are still in control, and you're not going to change that by putting a figurehead there. You need to attack the system that created all of this. That same system that elected Donald Trump is the same system that completely selected, handpicked Joe Biden, a guy that has dementia, as your top contender. And if you don't see that, we're never going to solve the problem.
Yeah. You know, it's funny because I'm glad you mentioned that, because I just sent over something to Johnny to put up. Whether he's a rapist, he's a racist, you know what I'm saying?
And he could be all those things, and it's true. But
the fact that you mentioned the policy, the foreign policy, it's important to always put that in there too as well. Because, you know, people will get caught in these battles of the racist and the rapist thing, and I think he's a rapist and a racist, to be honest with you, 100%. And then there'll be people, oh, he's not your full-blown racist. Like, come on. He said some things you really
Are we measuring really the levels? Like, come on now.
I understand that, and I agree too as well. But what cannot be measured and what can't be denied is his policy.
Yeah.
And what he signed on the line, and the policies he's pushed for, and what he's advocated for foreign policy-wise. And I think it's great that you mention those things, because it's the whole package. We can't just mention these things. We have to mention everything. And the fact that he is awful on foreign policy, he's not going to give you Medicare for all. He's not for a Green New Deal, all these things. We see his habits. That should tell you something. Now, Elizabeth Warren, fam, it seems to me that the establishment thinks that she's okay, that she's done enough to repent. When she first got into the Senate and she was that destructive person, that person's not there anymore. Yeah. She changed. The money she took, the way she acted, the way she kind of backed off, even her actions on the CARES Act, doing nothing, saying nothing, the reason why she got involved in politics. So it seems like she's cleared the hurdle of she's okay with the establishment.
Absolutely.
And that should come
They would never prop her up otherwise.
Yeah.
And the fact that people, supposed progressives, like Mehdi Hassan, are pushing her as a salvation to our crisis just shows how just stupid people have become. Like, these are the journalists, a lot of you, not necessarily you guys, but a lot of people in the progressive community prop up. Oh yes, he should be on MSNBC. Why are we still continuing to support the idea that success and progress means putting even people like Mehdi Hassan on MSNBC, or anybody on MSNBC? We should demand the destruction of these networks, because they're propaganda machines. They are not the force of thought. They're just there to lie to the American people for the war machine, for the oligarchs, and that's what they are. So start supporting independent media, because a lot of people love to say, oh, we love, we hate mainstream media, and then turn around and go support corporate media. Yeah. And as much as I really like the Hill Rising, they're still corporate media, and I think it's good to like them, but at the same time, remember that they're still owned by corporations, and this isn't anything against them. This is saying we need to remind ourselves, like, really, like, you want to get rid of mainstream media, you have to get rid of the money, of the networks, of who's funding these things, the oligarchs, because otherwise you're going to get people like the Intercept that has been intercepted by a lot of these oligarchs, because you have to look at who's funding who. And this isn't like a conspiracy theory. You can go find who's funding who, and there's a lot of great journalism that Intercept has done. But I always find myself a little bit hesitant to support people that are funded by oligarchs.
Remember, it's their parent companies who are making the decisions on the news they're allowed to report. Spectrum is winning, as I think I missed Fee's birthday last month. I won't guess her age, but maybe the date. She's a 30-year-old Pisces, if you need to know. Lucas Wagner, Green Party general strike and the election reform simultaneously is the only way to go. Green Party, Lucas, I don't know about that. We've been doing a lot of reports. We haven't seen a lot of us talking about a lot of the stuff on the Green Party, and there's reasons why. They came to us early. They were going to have us host their debates. We were so into it. We did our research. Jonny Tsunami was about to go the fuck off and get a really good post-production piece of material that they can use and share because the stuff they were doing was shit. Well, none of them can get on board because they're dysfunctionality. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Because they're dysfunctional.
They were so dysfunctional, and they still are. And hearing what's going on with the way they made their choices for Howie Hawkins and what's being said. And look, we're friends of Kevin Zeese. He is friends of the show. He's been on the show a couple times. I love him. But I'm going to just say this much, that I don't know if I can stand behind the Green Party because what they're doing, and they can't seem to grow their party because they are so dysfunctional. I like the Libertarian Party better as well. But once again, I'm not ready to go to these parties. I like to have a party that's inclusive of Greens, Libertarians, Independents, Democrats who are frustrated, anti-war people.
I mean, I think there'll be a party. I think the focus shouldn't be on the party. I think the focus should be on the movement itself outside of the electorate politics. But
eventually we have to get there, though, no?
Eventually, we would get to a multi-party system because it's fairly common in the rest of the Western world. But I just want to say, the Green Party, whoever you choose to support, bigger than that is go outside the electorate, participate in these rent strikes and these general strikes. I know somebody that's doing that, really, really heading that is Kashama Sawant. And she's organizing on that she's part of Socialist Alternative. Yeah. She is a socialist who won a seat in city council. And that is not an easy thing to do, especially when Amazon is throwing money against you. And I think it's something that we need to look at, like how that happened and also what we can do with that to make that also sector of it grow, whether you support socialism or not. If you forget that label and read what she supports, it's actually a lot of libertarianism in a lot of the things she says.
Rocky Bellinger says hard pass on the libertarian, though, fam.
Thank you, Rocky.
Hard pass, pasta.
Thank you, Rocky. See, Rocky understands. Rocky is fam.
That girl says, I'm trying to tell my mom how bad Joe is because of his ties to Obama. She likes him. And then I tried telling my mom Obama isn't good either. Thank you for opening my eyes. That's a real hard one, that girl.
Thank you for trying to open your mom's eyes.
Listen, I'm going to tell you this right now. I knocked on doors for Obama. I was so excited Obama. I even did it the second time. I said, all right, you know what I'm saying? I was a little hesitant the second time. So, you'll hear me Obama bashing because... Biden, I mean, oh my God. I mean, I loved Obama, and he just let us down in every way, shape, and form. And let me tell you something. He's one of the persons that we should be blaming a lot. He's the one who tapped Buttigieg's shoulder, who tapped Amy Klobuchar. He was working things behind the scenes.
He tapped Bernie Sanders.
Yeah. Bethlehem Tezafe says, thank you for all you do. Pasta, I am sorry for your loss, and happy birthday. I will hit your age in June. You're going to hit 47 in June, Bethlehem? That's old. A 47-year-old Aries, but don't worry, it's okay. We're the young heart zodiacs. You're in June, so you're probably
47 going on 27.
Maybe a Cancer, maybe a Gemini. I don't know, Bethlehem.
Oh wow! I just realized that's two of their numbers.
So
Johnny Sue, go to it, baby.
All right, I got some stuff. Question for y'all.
Yes, sir.
Do you have a problem with Congress wanting to bomb terrorists, specifically progressive congressional representatives?
Yes.
Okay, but what is defined as a terrorist?
That's
the problem I have.
Exactly.
What defines a terrorist?
I'm a pacifist, but yeah.
What defines a terrorist?
That's a good question to ask.
It's a good question, right? Because there's definitely nuance there. It's like, I don't know, well, if they're actually like terrorists, like, right? But then it's like the CIA created these terrorists or something. So then it's like...
Absolutely. Yeah, so, if you track its origin, Johnny, it will come back to Mujahideen, United States, spending a lot of money. Bin Laden, they're in Afghanistan. He's from Saudi. It's the Wahhabism kind of, and then everything just kind of spawns on out. Yeah. So I have no problem, like, for instance, if Russia's bombing them in certain areas in Idlib where there's actual families there that are being attacked by these radical fanatics, then I don't necessarily have a problem because it's already far too gone down the road to say we can't protect these people. But I think that's the whole thing is what do we define as a terrorist nowadays?
Yeah, exactly.
Right now I define Nancy Pelosi as a terrorist.
Well, my whole thing is like
she's terrorizing the fucking country with her incompetence.
But my whole thing is like you can always just go back and find blame on somebody else, like because a lot of these, like you said, a lot of these terrorists were created a lot by the U.S. coming in there, and so not even just funded, but like the hatred was bred by our own actions too. And if you just read books on how these people were, these places like Afghanistan, before we involved ourselves, you see the notable difference. Johnny, go ahead.
So then my second question was, are we anti all violence? Do we make exceptions? When and why? I guess you guys kind of went over that.
Yeah, I mean, that for me, I'm a pacifist, so I really want to war as much at all cost. And I know I tend to be, that's how I am personally, but when it comes to government, I think people aren't there yet. The humanity as a species isn't really there to say, oh, we're going to avoid all but violence. So if somebody isn't a pacifist, I may still support them. For instance, for example, Bernie Sanders, he was anti-war, so was Tulsi Gabbard. They ran an anti-war campaign, but she was also okay with some drone strikes, and so was Bernie Sanders. And I'm not necessarily 100% behind that, but I'm like, okay, I guess drone strikes are better than using other mechanisms that kill more people. But it's something that I have to be realistic about with the state of the world. But personally, I don't think that killing more people is going to help save more people in the end, because then you're breeding the counter hate to it, and then it's an ultimate question of philosophy now. Like, do the ends justify the means?
Exactly.
Like, are you willing to make exceptions because it benefits your narrative? I mean, that's a very deep question.
Right. So this came from a huge update. I think you guys missed this, or maybe you saw it, but it's a big update and a certain lawsuit. Tulsi Gabbard versus Hillary Clinton lawsuit update.
I missed this.
Clinton's attorneys filed a motion to dismiss and double down on the Russian asset smear, using Gabbard's anti-regime change war tweets and assorted smear articles as evidence of Clinton's Russian asset claim.
Oh, give us what does it say then? Which particular ones?
These are the tweets that Hillary Clinton her lawyers literally put in as a document.
Wow.
So it's 2016 tweets: time to end the legal counterproductive war to overthrow the Syrian government of Assad. Question for debate tonight, and again 2016, is overthrowing the Syrian government of Assad worth risking war, potentially nuclear war between U.S. and Russia. July 31st, 2016. Add your name to our petition calling for an end to the legal war to overthrow the Syrian government of Assad.
This makes her a Russian asset right here.
People say something about Assad as they did about Saddam in Iraq, Gaddafi in Libya, both ousted, results, strafing ISIS, Al-Qaeda, etc. President Barack Obama showed tremendous courage in 2013 when he chose not to carry out airstrikes. It just keeps going. It's all these Assad tweets. Recent findings confirm that U.S. war to overthrow Syrian government of Assad is counterproductive, must be stopped, all 2016.
Yeah.
And then this one. In honor of World Vegetarian Day, make this day a meatless day and try a vegetarian diet. Better
Russian asset you! How dare you
Eva,
put your vegan
we're
ways
Russian, we're
on
Russian
our meat-eating
assets.
country?
I'm obviously a Russian asset because I'm not
son
eating
of
your
a
pork.
bitch. We said this. Eva's Russia.
Yeah,
She's Russian. We know. We're gonna see her walking around with the hat and those boots and the whips and going Nestrovia. Fucking Russians trying to put their vegetarian ways on meat-eating
bad
country.
enough U.S. has not been bombing Al-Qaeda, Al-Nusra, and Syria, but it's mind-boggling that we protest Russia's bombing of these terrorists.
Oh, there it
so
is.
this is the tweet where I was like, okay, and then I saw this one. Al-Qaeda attacked us on 9/11 and must be defeated. Obama won't bomb them in Syria. Putin did. Never forget 9/11. So, I mean, those two tweets, that's where I got my question from. Is like, are you guys okay with Tulsi Gabbard saying this? And I wanted to ask you before I
like I said,
revealed it was Tulsi Gabbard saying
all means. Listen, you got to use all means necessary. Every single bit of diplomacy you can. Try to talk, reach, sit down at the table. What can we do? Stop the blooding and the violence. But like, there are areas in Syria where you have the maddest of maddest, the craziest of craziest, who are out there jihadist style, fucking with families, killing them. And it's disgusting. So it comes to a point where you have to bomb them because it's just a free-for-all. Because even though, and this is the part that I don't like about those tweets right there, fam, Tulsi Gabbard played a little politics right there, which she didn't want to go after Obama.
Well, that was before too.
That was 2015.
That was before. She was just right. But also, like, I'm not personally okay with it because I don't think we need to promote the idea that we need to like boom go bomb these people. I mean, if you're gonna do it, you don't want to do it. You want to say we don't want to do this, but we have to do something to stop them. And I don't think it should be in that jingoistic, like pro-war way. And that's always been one issue I've had with Tulsi, where I feel like her patriotism and her loyalty to America is sometimes a lot. And it's not that I'm not like, for me, a flag and loyalty to one country isn't really as big of much of a loyalty to people and to peace. And so I think that's something that people have struggled with her, and she has struggled with because she is from the military background.
Exactly. I think it's because she was in the military, and like, I don't know if I've met a lot of Army infantry people, and they do not like.
No.
They're like, they're They're trained that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She also understands that when it comes to a breaking point, that there's people that can be talked and reasoned with and some people can't, especially in that region right now, because we have caused these problems of constantly bombing and killing and plundering that some people won't even listen right now, that they're just going all out. Rocky Bellinger says it's insane. Fiorella is a Putin puppet and my vegan brother Jason is a Russian bot.
I didn't know Jason was vegan. Wow.
He's a Russian bot. Did
Jason.
you know that now?
Jason's great.
Anyways,
Jason is
other
awesome.
than those tweets, they also used this article. Remember this article?
Yes.
Russian propaganda machine discovers 2020 Democratic candidate Tulsi Gabbard.
But it's funny because they are using that article when it's their own people who promoted that article.
And
So
then-
it's
And
Yeah.
the next article is Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard returns to Syria with renewed calls and regime change. So they're literally referencing tweets and articles
a chemical
as their
attack
evidence
that's fake.
that she's a Russian asset.
Of a chemical attack that's fake. Because let's remember that the
All three of
Syrian
them.
chemical attacks were all fake.
Yeah. And it's so funny that if you have a different ideology, they can allow to smear you as a Russian
That's
bot.
the whole point
and
of
they're
this.
doubling down.
That's why she did it, and I think I stand by her on that. Like, it's so important to really. Hillary Clinton can say we're all Russian assets and have us imprisoned right now. Like, that's how powerful this is. That's why we have to stand against her.
It says that the Gabbard's attorneys have until 6/1 to respond. That's what Robbie Yeager says.
Yes. Thank you, Robbie Yeager, for
always
keeping
Yeager.
up on this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kid is awesome. So we'll
Everyone go follow him. He's part of the
to be
MCSC
continued,
network.
Johnny. Way to grab that stuff. It got right past our eyes, Looking at the fucking CARES Act and every way we get screwed right nowadays. I've also talked to Elena Pop. There's some new updates to come when it comes to the CARES Act as far as what they put forth as far as rentals, housing is involved. Don't pay your rent if you don't have extra money in the bank, guys. I mean, I would think rent strike right now, don't pay it at all. But don't use every little bit of resources you have financially to go to rent if it's going to deprive you from food, toilet paper, all that kind of stuff that we need. We still don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what it's going to be like. I don't think there's going to be a normal when we come out of this, fam. So we're still in desperation mode.
Yeah, and then the last thing is possibly the grossest part of Hillary Clinton's motion to dismiss against Tulsi Gabbard is the argument that her comment about Russians grooming her isn't probably false or provably false.
Yeah.
In other words, she's saying to Tulsi, prove you aren't a Russian asset, which is
Right.
ass backwards
It
because
seems
she made the claim.
Yeah.
Hillary made the claim that
Right.
Tulsi was a Russian asset.
Right. So I don't think she really has a case to go after her on that. But yeah.
Lucas Wagner says regime change wars are terrorism, and he is 1,000% right. So I guess we should bomb terrorists.
We should
Let's
bomb ourselves.
the CIA.
Yeah. Right.
Johnny, anything else before we get on out of here?
We should get out. I have a bunch of little Instagram things, but we should get out because I have to go.
Okay, let's do that. And so that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, ROKFIN on Wednesday. We're going to have some people in the house tomorrow. We'll be back, right, fam? It's Tuesday. It's quarantine time. I don't even know what day it is. So for Pasta Jardula.
And Fiorella.
Johnny,
wait. Hold on. We didn't do our celebration here. Hold on.
Oh,
Give me
wait.
one
We got a
second.
celebration.
Hold on.
We got a celebration.
Hold on.
What celebration?
We got a celebration, fam.
How could I forget?
How do you forget about a celebration, John?
What celebration?
It's a celebration.
What is going on?
It's 420, fam.
Oh my gosh.
420.
Is that why you have to go, Johnny? You have to go 420? Oh, Pasta, you too.
Look at this.
Oh my God.
He got Obama in there.
Pasta, put your mouth out to the left.
Oh my God. I can't.
Come
You
on.
guys are so cheesy. What a bunch of cheese balls.
Fam, you want one?
No, I'm good. I'll go and do the real thing. Okay.
All right, cool.
Bye, guys. Happy 42020.
We love you.
420 2020 at 420.
We're Russian bots.
Peace.
Only Russian smoke. The J. Legalize marijuana. Free the people.